Welcome back to the IDP Plus podcast. I'm your host, Johnny. If you'd like more IDP content, give me a follow on Twitter at JohnnyFreakinF1. This video will wrap up my preseason IDP breakout and sleepers. This is the last position I'm covering, will be linebackers. If you missed my defensive lineman and my defensive back preseason sleepers and breakouts, go to the IDP Plus YouTube page and go to IDP Plus podcast, and you will see those videos. Let's get right into my 8 sleeping linebackers for the 2025 season. Now, I will say this. I'm going to start strong and I'm going to end strong. My last sleeper will be my favorite. And the reason I have him last is because my friends who are going to watch this, they won't be sticking around till the end. So I don't want to give away all my secret ingredients. So we're going to start off with another player I like a lot. Second-year linebacker out of Seattle, and that's Tyrice Knight. Tyrice Knight in the projected points for Yahoo right now. They don't have rankings exactly, but you can, search by projected points, and Yahoo will tell you that Tyrice Knight is 24th in their projections right now. On Sleeper, I see a little bit more variance. I've done IDP-only drafts where I've seen Tyrice Knight come off the board as LB 30. I've seen him come off as LB 42. So between 30 and 40 here, I think if you can get Tyrice Knight in that range, Yahoo's 24, I think is dead on. That's about where I have him ranked. But if you can get him at 30 or higher, I think this is an absolute value player. Now we have to look at his numbers last year with a grain of salt. If you're looking for a full-time player, 95 to 100% of snaps, maybe not your guy. But Tyrice Knight, I don't think really needs that to justify IDP significance. Keep in mind, folks, this is a guy who, if you're playing especially in deeper leagues, we knew who Tyrice Knight was. He was a difference maker for our IDP teams, but he only played 52% of defensive snaps in 2024, still made an impact with 88 combined tackles. Tyrice Knight did not need many snaps to make his mark. When looking at games where Tyrice Knight played 55% or more snaps, which is not a lot still. Most players aren't doing anything with 50 to 55% of snaps. But when playing 55% of snaps or more, which happened in 11 out of the 16 games Tyrice Knight has played, he had 8 games where he posted 7 or more tackles. Out of the 11 games, 8 of those games he had 7 or more tackles. So a solid tackle floor. Even furthermore, let's bump up to 70%. When Tyrice Knight played 70% of snaps or more, which happened in 9 games, he totaled 74 tackles, which is a nice average of 8.2 tackles per game. If we can get a player who can give us 8.2 tackles per game from weeks 1 to week 17, we're looking at somebody, upwards of maybe close to or little upwards of 150 tackles, which is phenomenal. I'm not projecting Tyrice Knight for that exactly, but goes to show you he does not need 100% of snaps to make his mark in IDP. Don't forget, Tyrice Knight added 1.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 2 passes defensed, 4 quarterback hits in those 16 games, and just 52% of snaps. Now, I'm a proponent of looking at how a player finished, especially a rookie. Tyrice Knight, of course, we saw some splash games early on, week 2, week 3, and then he kind of faded, had a little injury. We didn't really see him get into a full-time role until the last home stretch, the last 8 games of the season. In those last 8 games, snaps vary. There was games where he played 100% of snaps, games where he played 70% of snaps. But those last 8 games, his average was 82% of snaps. And I think that's what we can kind of expect for Tyrice Knight. Don't think he's going to be 100% snap player. But if we can get somewhere from 80 to 85% of snaps, I think Tyrice Knight is going to be a smash here. He is right now is being drafted as an LB2, back-end LB2, more so an LB3. But to me, I think he's a solid linebacker too. And Tyrice Knight, expect those bumps up in snaps. I think that, Seattle has shown us that they can definitely have 2 linebackers, whether it be, this year with Ernest Jones and Tyrice Knight. A couple of years ago, Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks. I think that, there's 2 bangers here that many teams can have that. We've seen Indianapolis, Cincinnati have 2, safe linebackers for IDP, and I think this is no exception. So Tyrice Knight, I expect big things out of him this year. I think with a little increase in snaps, and it doesn't have to be much, even if he's playing 75 to 80% of snaps, I think Tyrice Knight is going to be a solid linebacker too. Moving on to my second guy, that is Nate Landman. Nate Landman, right now on Yahoo, is straight unranked. He's projected 0 points. So if somebody's just going off in the draft based off of Yahoo's rankings, they are not going to look Nate Landman's way. In Sleeper right now, I've seen him in drafts get drafted anywhere from 50 to about 65. Linebacker 50 to 65. So very deep here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, big news in training camp. Nate Landman right now is wearing the green dot in practice for the Rams, which has all of us excited, of course. Maybe that this is a sign of things to come. Maybe it sticks, maybe it doesn't, but definitely has me intrigued as of right now. And, people are going to look at 2024 production. It doesn't really tell the, exact tale. He only had 81 tackles on 65% of snaps. So I hope people are looking at that. In 2024 also, albeit with limited snaps, he did have 7 games with more than 65% of snaps. And in those 7 games, he had 54 tackles, which is a nice average of 7.7. If you can have a linebacker this late who can give you around 7.5 tackles per game, going to provide tremendous value. And really, I'm looking 2 years back and hoping for this production this year for the Rams. 2023, when Nate Landman was not exactly a full-time player, but did play majority of snaps at 75%. He had 110 tackles, 2 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 3 pass defense, and 3 forced fumbles. So I think that 2023 year is a good barometer of production that he can be for the Rams if he does, not only win but hold down that role as a starting inside backer, whether it's will linebacker or middle linebacker. I think right now he's wearing the green dot, so it should be going for the middle linebacker. So very productive role here if that does come to fruition for Landman. And I think that 75% of snaps is light. I know the Rams, their second linebacker is usually not playing 90 to 100% of snaps. But if he can be the middle linebacker, we know he's going to be out there for close to at least should be 90% of snaps. And I think the 2023 season he had with Atlanta, you can even add a couple tackles to that projection. So Nate Landman, solid linebacker too, that's really going for free right now if he can just stay onto that role. So of course, people are going to be listening to training camp articles and videos and understand that Nate Landman, if he gets some continuity with his middle linebacker job, he's going to move up higher in rankings. So you're going to kind of have to be throwing darts here as of when you think other people value him when they're going to draft him. But to me, Nate Landman, if I can get him as the 35th linebacker, I'm taking that all the time and not letting him slip anymore, not risking him going to somebody else's team if he can continue this role. So Nate Landman, very excited about him. My third guy is Demetrius Knight, another guy right now who on Yahoo is unlisted, projected zeros. Not a household name yet, but I think not far from it. On Sleeper, I play these best ball drafts with IDP heads. I've seen him go, the earliest is about 34, and that was probably me taking him. I'm a big proponent of Demetrius Knight Jr. this year from Cincinnati. Keep in mind, Germaine Pratt, the first 11 games, he was the second linebacker. That's what we're expecting Knight to be. Logan Wilson is a fine. To me, he's a top 15, top 20 linebacker. That's great and all. But Germaine Pratt showed us that even as the linebacker too in Cincinnati and Akeem Davis-Gaither last year, both these guys showed us that the second linebacker in Cincinnati can hold some weight in IDP. In those first 11 games next to Logan Wilson last year, Germaine Pratt had 97 tackles. That's an average of 8.8. Insane. Of course, when Logan Wilson went down, Akeem Davis-Gaither came in there, and I think he gave about 8.5 tackles per game. So very sexy situation here in Cincinnati for linebackers. I'm not worried that he's not going to be the number one linebacker there. He's going to be behind Logan Wilson, and I'm fine with that. And the fact that they didn't bring any veterans in, at least to this point, goes to show me that they're comfortable with what they have. And if you look up on Google Demetrius Knight, you can find starting the word starter all over the page and breakout as well. So I don't think I'm the first one to say it, but I do think Demetrius Knight is not getting a fair shake. And I do think that there's room for both of these guys to coexist, Logan Wilson and Demetrius Knight. Keep in mind, Logan Wilson had no less than 8 tackles in 11 games played. And while he was doing that, Germaine Pratt had even more tackles per game with 8.8. So doesn't matter LB1, LB2. I want both of those guys on my team for Cincinnati. Hopefully they can run it back this year and have similar production. I definitely think Demetrius Knight is projected to be a starter. I think he has the inside track on that role right now. I would consider him a LB3 with upside. And I do think that, if he's going, say, LB35 and, or higher, if he hasn't gone off the board yet at linebacker 35, I think that's a good time to pounce on him. There's some great value for him late in drafts, especially in shallower leagues. The later you'll get him, but in deeper leagues, don't be afraid to throw a dart and reach out a little bit for him. Before I move into my number 4 guy, I wanted to mention Bob Lung's consistency guide. It is on sale right now for just $15 on Amazon. So get a leg up on your opponents with Bob's 10th annual edition of the Fantasy Football Consistency Guide just for $15 on Amazon. Search the words 2025 Fantasy Football Consistency Guide to get yours today. Moving on to my 4th sleeper here. I have SirVocea Dennis, not a household name. I am in Pittsburgh. I'm a Pitt guy, and he is too. He went to Pitt. But for Dennis, another deep sleeper here, we're looking at somebody who is unranked on Yahoo, projected zeros, sleeper in all these best ball IDP drafts. I've seen him going outside of the top 50 linebackers. So, this is a deep dart throw, especially in those deeper leagues. Probably an LB4, maybe, LB3 if someone's really up on him like me. SirVocea Dennis in 22 games. He had 22 tackles in 3 games in 2024 on just 46% of snaps. He missed the rest of the season after that. And that's a big caveat here with SirVocea Dennis. If you're somebody who's, saying health is important to you, staying on the field is important. SirVocea Dennis, granted, has not had a large sample size with that, but has not shown the ability to stay on the field. I believe in 2 years he's missed 17 games, so not promising there. But let's forget about those first 2 years. Maybe things weren't just right with him getting acclimated to the NFL. I do think that this year he's going to be given the chance to start next to Lavonte David, and I don't think it's out of this world to project that SirVocea Dennis could have more tackles than Lavonte David. Granted, I'm not saying draft SirVocea Dennis over Lavonte David. I would not advise that, but SirVocea Dennis, if he's averaging over 7 tackles in those first 3 games, I think one of them had 11 in it. And then the third one, I think, is when he got hurt. So it wasn't really a fair shake. There could have been even more meat on the bone for SirVocea Dennis there had he not gotten hurt that third game. But that's fine with me because people are forgetting about him. They're writing him off. They're saying that he can't stay healthy. He's drafted as an LB4 right now, but I think he has high tackle upside. I think he could finish in that LB2, LB3 kind of borderline range there. So SirVocea Dennis, in a world where not much is going, not much depth they have there or star power as far as the linebackers in Tampa Bay, really goes to show me that they're comfortable with a guy like SirVocea Dennis. And right now he is not guaranteed to start. Anthony Walker Jr. is there, but he has been healthy. I think he's on the PUP list, but just in the preseason, so he can be taken off that anytime. But the fact that Walker has been hurt really kind of cements SirVocea Dennis as a sleeper for me because he's getting the reps right now, and according to beat writers, he's looking good in camp. So SirVocea Dennis, another deeper kind of sleeper, but somebody who that's who I like to get because I play in deeper leagues, and I'm not trying to spend money on defensive players. I'm trying to get the starting offense, bench offense, so I can trade those guys, and then I'm gonna either I'm just gonna take the best available defensive players and then work into the season and find waiver wire gems. Moving on to number 5, that is Junior Colson. Junior Colson right now on Yahoo is unranked, again projected zeros. Sleeper, I've seen him go outside just outside of the top 50. Basically taken as a LB4 right now, and that's fine. I'm not saying Junior Colson is going to pop off and supersede Diane Henley there as the LB1 in fantasy. Not expecting that at all. But keep in mind, just a year ago, people were talking so highly on Junior Colson being a third-round pick, out of Michigan, going to play with Harbaugh. This hype was real. I've seen guys take him last year as the first linebacker off the board in rookie drafts, so we're not too far from that. He's still young. This is technically his second year. He had a rough go around his first preseason. He had a surprise appendectomy, missed just about most of the 2024 season. Only played 11 games sparingly with 29 tackles combined. So not looking, back at 2024. You won't find anything there. But I hope others are, because they're going to write him off. And the most important thing about Junior Colson is he does have this familiarity with Harbaugh. He seems to be favored by the coaches. And right now he's looking healthy. He's looking strong, fast in training camp. So I'm excited for Junior Colson. I think if you're in a very deep league, maybe if you're starting 3 linebackers, he would be a fine, first linebacker on your bench. So we'll call him an LB4. But Junior Colson, I definitely think I don't see him, like I said, superseding Diane Henley. I don't think he'll even come close as production. Henley's the number 1 there. He's cemented himself, but you can't forget about Junior Colson. Again, if you're in deeper leagues, somebody who, if you're getting down into the EJ Speeds, the Christian Harrises, those kind of players, I'd actually prefer taking a chance on Junior Colson and finding out if they're, if the hype was real about him. Worst case scenario, week 1, week 2, doesn't work out, you drop him and find somebody else. But don't forget the name Junior Colson. Moving on, number 6. This is actually probably one of the better sleepers I have here. If you're an IDP head, he's not too far from significance. He actually finished as, I think, a top 20 linebacker last year, and that's Germaine Pratt. Germaine Pratt, I mentioned him before, was cut by the Bengals after 17 games played and 143 tackles, 6 pass defense, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions. Right now, Germaine Pratt is 23rd as far as linebackers on Yahoo, which is a good prediction there. I'm cool with that. I think he's definitely inside the top 30. 25 is probably where I'd peg him at, but definitely room for upside there. Sleeper, I've seen him get drafted 32nd, 33rd, and 35th, so pretty consistent there. Mid-30s. We'll consider him a LB3, but I think he'll be a solid LB2 for IDP managers out there. So he was cut by the Bengals after a career year. Don't forget, this is this is a smash spot, a smash landing spot. Las Vegas, bad team. When you're a bad team, you're going to get the ball run down your throat. Maybe they improve a little bit this year, but still, look at Robert Spillane last year in 2024. In his 17 games played, he had 158 tackles, 2 sacks, 7 pass defense, and 2 interceptions for Vegas last year. And keep in mind, that was not a LB2 numbers. That was actually 3rd best in tackle-heavy scoring last year. So, in a year where Robert Spillane goes, he's elsewhere. He's in New England now. They really don't bring in much heat. They bring in Devin White, Elandon Roberts. These guys are peons to me. Pratt should easily be the guy we're targeting here for IDP. And I think Germaine Pratt, even though he kind of had a hamstring injury of himself, he's healthy now. Coming into training camp, so I expect him to pick up things quick and be deemed a starter. And Germaine Pratt right now, being right outside the top 30, 32, 35, around there, I think it's great value if you can get him there. If you take him at 23rd, I think he'll finish at 23, top 23. So I'm fine with that. I think that is a little bit of a reach. He should be a little bit later than that, but still. Germaine Pratt, solid LB2. If he can, repeat at least his stats, he doesn't have to put up Robert Spillane 2024 stats, but if he can put up 143 tackles, 6 pass defense, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions this year for the Raiders, that's going to be a nice get for you and your team. Moving to Arizona with my number 7, and I'm going to kind of pair these guys, Akeem Davis-Gaither and Cody Simon. I'm watching this battle. I don't know if it's exactly between them, but that's how I see it right now. I don't know why. For some reason, it seems like that Mack Wilson is loved in the desert so much. He's looking at projected as the starting middle linebacker right now, which would be nice for him. He's had a horrible role, kind of a part-time player used in many different ways, not a traditional linebacker there. I'm still not condoning him, but Akeem Davis-Gaither and Cody Simon are actually guys that I prefer. unless Mack Wilson is deemed the starting middle linebacker. Then I guess I'd say Davis-Gaither and Mack Wilson. But needless to say, I'm excited for Cody Simon. I don't exactly have his Yahoo projections. I'm sure it's 0 on Sleeper. He's going outside the top 60. But Akeem Davis-Gaither, he on Yahoo right now, he's a definite value. We expect him to start. He had signed to a 2-year, $11 million deal. So we expect him, he got starter money. We expect him to start. He's ranked 47th on Yahoo. And then Sleeper, I've seen him go as early as LB 40 and as late as LB 50. So if we can get him for that value, I definitely think it's worth the gamble. Akeem Davis-Gaither last year when Logan Wilson went down, he started for 6 games, played 97% of snaps, was absolutely a full-time player. And in those 6 games, 58 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 pass defense, and a forced fumble. The splash plays were nice, but I'm really looking at the 6 games, 58 tackles, almost average 10 tackles per game. He gets this big deal, 2 years, $11 million. I think that Akeem Davis-Gaither is brought in with the expectation to start. But I'll tell you what, he's a player we're poaching, we're looking for as a free kind of value here in drafts. But Cody Simon, I definitely believe in him. I've mentioned him before as a sleeper, as maybe somebody who might start in the middle for Arizona. And while I don't think it's likely at this point, I do hear great things about Cody Simon in the preseason. He's able to pick up the playbook well. He's played middle linebacker, won defensive MVP in the championship 2025 playoff game, for the Ohio State Buckeyes. MVP in that game, defensive MVP with 8 tackles. So Cody Simon played big time games before. I do think that at some point, even though Davis-Gaither was signed and is expected to start, I don't think he's the guy for the future. And I simply think Simon is their best linebacker for the future. So he's going to get his at some point. So it kind of, knocks the projections of week 1 through week 17 a full season for IDP value for Akeem Davis-Gaither. But Akeem Davis-Gaither is the guy I'm looking at, even over Mack Wilson right now. But Cody Simon, if he or when he gets his chance to start, I'm all wheels up on him. I love him as a sleeper. And finally, my favorite, save the best for last, and that is Jack Sanborn from Dallas, signed to a 1-year contract. Right now on Yahoo, he is the 85th projected linebacker. And in Sleeper, we're more kin to him on there. I've seen him go as early as the 35th linebacker, as late as the 45th. He's definitely not going 85 if you're playing in a competitive IDP league. But Jack Sanborn, nonetheless, is somebody who's kind of a cast-off right now, not really getting the projected points love that he should. Keep in mind, Jack Sanborn, first off, I love linebackers coming out of Wisconsin. Loved Ryan Conley. Loved TJ Edwards. Conley, I thought he could have done better. Bad ACL injury there. But, Sanborn is in a good lineage here. Linebacker out of Wisconsin. Played 3 seasons with Matt Eberflus as his defensive coordinator in Chicago. Now he's playing for Matt Eberflus in Dallas. So very familiar there. 7 games. This is the most important stat. Jack Sanborn, we saw him have some, big games there when there was linebackers injured ahead of him. He was in that reserve role. But if you look at 2022, 3, and 2024, you will find 7 games played for Jack Sanborn with 85% of snaps or more. And in those 7 games, not even a full-time role, 85% of snaps or more, right? But in those 7 games, 71 combined tackles. So he is averaging over 10 tackles a game when he's starting, right? And I definitely think if he is a starter as Dallas Cowboy, he's going to get at least 85% of snaps. So, hey, I'll just call that a 10 tackle average right now. There's a chance that he could be looking for more snaps. And the way he's looking right now in training camp for Dallas, I'm going to deem him the starting middle linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm really bullish on Jack Sanborn. I think, when he is deemed the starting linebacker there, whether it's the middle linebacker or the weak side linebacker, I think you could definitely pencil him as a top 25 linebacker. I love him that much. Jack Sanborn is just one of those guys who takes his lunch pail, shows up to work, and just is a complete banger. So in a world where we don't know who's going to be starting there's Maris Leafau. They also brought in Kenneth Murray. Those 2 players can do fine. Of course, the Marvion Overshone is in the in the back of our minds, right? He's going to be probably healthy maybe around Thanksgiving. Maybe it doesn't happen at all, but there is a little bit of hindrance to Jack Sanborn's long-term play there, especially if Overshone, comes back early and is healthy and playing well. Nonetheless, if Jack Sanborn, starts the season and he's just banging 10 tackles a game and doing well as far as PFF and how the coaches see his play, then I think Jack Sanborn just runs away with his job. So Tyrice Knight, Nate Landman, Demetrius Knight, SirVocea Dennis, Junior Colson, Germaine Pratt, and finally Jack Sanborn are my preseason sleepers. I will update my linebacker, defensive back, and defensive line rankings coming into the season and drop a podcast on that. If you have any questions, write them down in the comments. I promise I'll get back to you. I see all the comments, and I appreciate your support, your constant support to my viewers and listeners. And one more thing, if you're going to the Fantasy Expo, I will see you there. If not, get your ticket. You can still get your ticket until August 1st. It is in Canton, Ohio, August 8th through August 10th. So looking forward to seeing some of you guys at the Expo. Come ask me for my autograph. You'd be the first one to do it. We will see you next time on the IDP Plus podcast. Thanks for watching and listening.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.